Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Financial Freedom Fridays. It's Gus Tucker. How you doing? How are you doing? And hey, it's July 1st, the second half of 2022. Can you believe it? Already, it's July 1st. Hopefully, you got a great weekend planned and you're going to spend some time with your family. I know we're going to do that. It's going to be incredible. So we're going to get right into it. Let me share these slides with you. And what we want to do, we're going to take a step back. We're going to cover a couple of concepts, take a step back, and then I want to talk to you about something that really hit me this week, and I thought it would be good to share with you about the seven spheres of wealth. Beyond just money, what does it mean to be wealthy, and how developing these seven spheres of wealth will enhance your ability to create financial wealth? Okay, so let's get going. And financial independence, right? That's what this is all about. It's all about creating that state of having enough financial wealth that you can live without having to work actively for basic necessities. That's what this is about. That you want to have that money, that investment, that business, that passive income coming in that frees your time up to be able to not have to work for money anymore. And that's the goal of this. And more and more of you are taking advantage of this, and I appreciate that. For your own sake, take the How Money Works challenge and see how you score and get the free ebook because the ebook is going to continue to expand your knowledge. And when you see today the seven spheres of wealth, how important it is to expand your knowledge as well. Okay? So I want you to check that out. Also, you get a financial freedom checklist and you can qualify for a free financial needs analysis by one of our team members. I would encourage you to get the book, How Money Works. I promoted it. I really encourage you to read this. Um, we're now taking it out even more into the public to get our youth involved in reading this book because we've got to train the next generation of folks. Not only us, but man, our next generation of folks. Think about your family, 10, 15 years old and up. If they knew these concepts, man, where would they be? That's what it's about. So we're going to skip over to here. And so we talked about setting goals by time frame. This is important, okay? Because especially with this pandemic, we all know, man, life really isn't promised to us. And you can ask somebody their age and they'll say they're 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. And based on what they say, you could say, man, they're in their 60s and 70s, they're old. Well, tomorrow, we're going to a funeral for a friend of ours. Their child died and they're 34 years old. So that 34-year-old was actually older than me because they only had a few more months to live. So age or being old is not a function of your age. It's a function of how much time you have left. And who knows what that is. So you want to live your life on purpose. Okay, you want to live your life on purpose. Setting these goals will help you set your purpose. What is it that you want? What's the goal? How much will it cost to make that goal a reality? By when? You put a date on it. And then the strategy. How are you going to make these goals a reality? And then setting up separate accounts for either your categories of goals or each individual goals so you know practically how you're doing versus those goals. Does that make sense that you do this by time frame? 0 to 1 year goals, 1 to 5 year goals, and 5 year plus goals. Does that make sense to do that? And then my wife and I over this long weekend are going to be spending some time doing exactly this kind of stuff for our life. Are you serious about changing your future? Man, you have to sit down and take some time and do this stuff. Okay, so what are your financial goals and your strategies to get there? If you're not clear on them, schedule time with us so we can sit down and help you work through and walk through a plan for this. Next thing, rule of 72. Okay, let's make this practical. Okay, write down your age on a piece of paper, your current age, or write it down. You got it wrote down? You got it wrote down? Come on now. Okay, got it wrote down. Now, write down the age in which you'd like to have financial independence. I know yesterday, right? The day before yesterday. Okay, but write down when you'd like to have that financial independence. Okay, you guys got that down? Okay, now, how much money would you need coming in every month or every year? Let's think of it annually. How much money would you need coming in from your investments or from a business or from some sort of passive income source? How much money would you need coming in so that you wouldn't have to work for money anymore? I'm not saying you wouldn't work and get paid, but you wouldn't need to work and actually count on that money to live. How much would you need coming in? Okay, I'm going to pick a number, just to pick a number, and say $60,000. Okay, so take $60,000. I'm going to get my calculator out. I got a calculator right here. Get it? Let's say it's $60,000. Okay. So what I want you to do is take 60,000 and divide it by 0.05. And why do I want you to do that? Because what that's saying is I want a number that I can take 5% of it and live on it every year. Because we're going to invest that money and we want to get 5% return on our money plus the rate of inflation. Okay? That means when we take this 5% out, we won't be wearing down or eating down the money we have. Okay? And this is just a for instance. Okay? Don't take this as financial advice. I'm just giving you some concepts so you can begin planning and thinking about these things for yourself. So when you take 60,000 and divide it by 0.05, what number do you come up with? So if somebody wants to type it in the chat so I can know you're out there and you're listening, you want to type it in the chat. What number did you come up with? Okay. Okay, the number is $1.2 million. $1.2 million. Okay? So that's how much money we would need so we could take 5% off of that a year, live on that 60,000 and not touch the principal. Okay, so how does the rule of 72 help me, Gus? Well, here's how it helps you. If you take an interest rate and divide 72 by that rate of return, it tells you how many years it takes for your money to double. So on this screen, if you look at it, if you got 4% rate of return, ROR, rate of return, that means it's going to double every 18 years. 8% is going to double every 9 years. 12% is going to double every 6 years. Okay? So we're going to be a little in the middle between 8 and 12%. We're going to take 10%. Okay? So 10% means it's going to double every what? 7 years. Your money's going to double every 7 years. So let's see how much money we need to have at different stages to hit that goal by 65. Excuse me. So you want to take the number 6, you want to take age 65, and you're going to put $1.2 million next to that, okay? You're going to write down 65 and put $1.2 million next to that. Now, How long did we say it was going to take for your money to double? 7 years. So 65 minus 7 is 58. Minus 7 is 51. Minus 7 is 44. Minus 7 is 37. Minus 7 is 30 years old. So let's look at that. Let's look at that. And let's back those numbers in, okay? Let's back those numbers in. So we got 1.2 million at 65, right? Get this over here. Get my notepad out. At 65, we got 1.2 million, right? So that means at 58, you need 600,000 saved if you're going to make the $1.2 million number. You see that? Because we're getting 10%, so it's doubling every 7 years. So at 51, I need 300,000. Okay, at 44, I need 150,000. At 37, I need to have 75,000 saved. At 30, I need to have 37,500 saved. So, looking at your age and looking at 65 in this example, how much would you need to have saved given your age? Okay, so I want you to write that number down. And then I want to subtract all the money you have saved from that number. Now, next question is, are you over the 1.2 million or below the 1.2 million? If you're over, congratulations. Man, you're going to be able to retire on 60,000 or more coming in every year. And depending on how it's set up, it could be even tax-free. And we can show you how to do that, how to set it up. So when you get to that number, you can take it out tax-free. Does that make sense? And we can show you how to set it up so you can take it out tax-free and before 59 and a half without any penalties. How about that? Tax-free and before 59 and a half without any penalties. We can show you how to do that. So if you got your 1.2 million right now and you're 65, you're good. But let's say you're 30 years old. Do you have that 37,500? Or do you have something less? Now, what's going to happen every year that you wait? What's going to happen? The amount you have to save is going to go up every year. So the thing is, we got to catch up. We got to catch up. So what does that mean? We got to create more wealth. And we're going to talk about that in a second. So that's the rule of 72. That's how you use that to figure out where are you in your goal pattern? Are you ahead of track? Are you behind track? What do I need to do to catch up? The next thing I want to show you, get this to cooperate, are these investment concepts. You see this? Let me know you can see that okay. So what this is meant to say is there are all kinds of investment vehicles. Okay, there are all kinds of investment vehicles, and then there are all kinds of engines to put into the vehicle. Okay, so you have low risk vehicles like, checking accounts, saving accounts, certificates of deposit. I call them certificates of depreciation right now because the interest rates on them are so low and inflation is so high. You're losing money. Then they have things called fixed annuities, indexed annuities. Well, what are those ideas? We can talk about those later. But there's no loss of principal with those. Then there are things that grow a little bit more: money market bonds, active money management, variable annuity, mutual funds, stocks, and options. Okay, so those are different in concepts, different investment concepts that you can put your money in. Now, I know you guys have heard of this list of things over here on the left-hand side, right? Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs, rollover, simple, 401k, blah, 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 blah. Guess what those are? Those are investment vehicles. They're not the investments. Those are the investment vehicles that are governed by IRS laws and IRS rules about how your money is going to be treated from a tax perspective or any kind of limits that they put on the amount you can invest and things like that. That's what those investment vehicles are. The engines, the engines are the things that are across this investments barometer. And they differentiate it by the amount of risk that they have, risk, and second, liquidity. Do you have access to your money right away? Each one of these things on this investment barometer have risk attached to them and then something called liquidity attached to them, your access to the money. Those are the investment engines. And for the most part, you can take these investment engines and put them inside these investment vehicles. So you can have a Roth IRA with a money market in it or stocks in it. Do you see what I'm saying? So why do I mention this? That's why what we seek to do with our clients is first figure out what their goals are, because some of the investment vehicles, just by the way they're structured, wouldn't be appropriate for your goals. So we want to look at both the vehicle and we want to look at the engine that we're choosing to hit your goals. So that's why we want to sit down and talk to you and find out what your goals are, how much risk you're willing to tolerate, how much access you need to the money, and some other things before we choose any of these things on the investment barometer. Does that make sense? You got any questions? Shoot them across, or put them in the Facebook group. Okay, put them in the Facebook group, and we'll get answers to your questions. Okay, but those are just some investment concepts, and then there's taxing. There's three ways to tax your money. Tax it now, where money is saved here is after tax money. You put after tax money in it, meaning it got taxed out of your paycheck. And then when you put it in these vehicles, it gets taxed. So if you have your money in a savings account, any of these things you see listed, tax is going to be taken out of your money after it grows. Okay, do you see that? That's tax now. Then you have tax later. So money is taxed when it comes out of your paycheck, but it's not taxed now. When it comes out of your paycheck, it's not taxed. You're free from taxes, and your money's allowed to grow. Your money's allowed to grow without being taxed. But when you take it out, and typically it's after 59 and a half, you're going to get taxed at an ordinary income rate. And it usually ends up being the same income rate you have now as when you were working. Well, why is that? Because a lot of your deductions are gone now that you're not working. Paid off your house, no more deduction. Okay? Other deductions are gone. No more kids. Can't deduct for them. No more dependents. So with those deductions gone, your effective tax rate could go up. That's why we need to do planning about how much you plan to retire on and then what your tax situation is. And then tax never. That's money you put in after tax. It grows without being taxed. And then when you take it out, it's not taxed. Okay, and you can see what those are: Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, all right, basically Roth retirement plans, and then permanent life insurance. And there are benefits to each one of those as to how you can leverage it to invest and how you can leverage it for tax. Okay, so that's tax. I want to cover that with you real quick. Now, next thing we want to go through real quick, got about 10 minutes left, is the seven spheres of wealth. Grab some water real quick. The seven spheres of wealth. Okay. Now these principles I happen to read the Bible, and these principles are from there, but I'm sure you'll be able to agree with many of them. There's seven spheres of wealth that don't have anything to do with money, and one of them is spiritual wealth, your relationship with your Creator. And it says, "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose their soul?" In other words, if you have a lot of money, but you have no relationship with your Creator, life won't be very fulfilling. I know a lot of wealthy people aren't happy. Why is that? Their sense of significance and well being, their relationship with their God, it's not there. So, spiritual wealth, number one. Next is soulical wealth. What do I mean by that? You have a mind, ability to think, you've got a will, ability to choose, and you have emotions, ability to feel. It says in 3 John 2, "Beloved, I wish you would prosper even as your soul prospers." There's a sense in which if you aren't developing mentally and emotionally and making better decisions, you're not going to have wealth as a person. It's not going to happen because wealth, in a sense, is an idea. Everything that anybody's ever done to create wealth was first an idea before it turned into a song, a business, a book, a play, a movie, whatever what was used to create the wealth, building a building, it was an idea first. Go to YouTube, and this is a company I work with. It's called the Dream Exchange. We're doing some really cool stuff. We'll tell you about that a little bit more in the future. But go to the Dream Exchange, and there's a couple of videos about the value of an idea. What creates wealth for us are ideas that we put into practice. You and I are talking over a computer and a camera, a digital platform. That was an idea. All the tools to do this have been here since the beginning of time, but a certain amount of wisdom had to be accumulated and ideas had to be put into place for this process to come forward. What other processes are out there that we haven't even thought of, but that will be thought of in the future that are going to make our lives better? But if you aren't thinking, if you aren't growing emotionally and making decisions to think differently and grow emotionally, those ideas are never going to come to you. And then you're never going to take those ideas and turn them into wealth. So, man, spend time every day thinking. What are you reading now? What are you listening to? How are you growing yourself as a person? Okay. Wealth number three, physical wealth. Your health. Man, how many steps you done did today? Huh? How many steps? I hit my goal today, but I need to still want to do some more. How's your calorie intake today? Did you eat healthy today? Did you move your body today for at least 45 minutes? Did you get some cardio in? Did you lift, stretch, massage, yoga? What are you doing to be healthy? Because what good is it for you to have a lot of money and be flat on your back, sick? That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? A person on their deathbed will pay any amount of money they could to have more time, which means buying their health back. Take care of yourself. You only get one body for this life. Next is relationships. You're only as wealthy as your relationships. Question. Think about things you need to get done for you in your life. How many of your friends, either they themselves or they can make a phone call to make what you need to have happen happen. Well, if not, maybe you need some more friends or some different ones. You know what I'm saying? You're only as wealthy as your relationships because people get things done for other people. So, what are you doing to improve your network? Look at your LinkedIn page, your Instagram page, your Facebook page. How many of those people do you actually interact with that you have relationships with apart from clicking messages over social media? I would challenge you, your relationships are another area of wealth for you. Next is influence. Make yourself valuable. What kind of influence are you on people? Do you notice that people who are really good at influencing people tend to be people who are doing well financially? Because all wealth comes from other people. You provide a product or a service to those people and they pay you. And that happens through influence. You influence people with whatever the value is you're creating for them. So you have to make yourself more valuable and then learn how to create the value that you're making to other people. And then that influence will create wealth for you. How influential are you? Do you speak well enough to be influential? Something to think about. Community wealth. How much time are you spending building your community, helping those less fortunate than yourself, or helping people that are just like you but may have issues? What are you doing to build your community up? Something to think about. I know in Chicago, elections are coming around. Are you involved in the elections to improve your community? What are you doing to create community wealth? The seventh is multi-generational wealth. It says in the Bible, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So that's me thinking about my children, but then thinking about their children. In my case, none of my children are married. They don't have children. So this doesn't apply to me. No, it still does. I need to be working and thinking about things as if I had grandchildren and still begin to put things into place for them. So generational wealth. What are you doing to create generational wealth? And the generational wealth could be teaching these first six things to your family. Notice we haven't talked about money or things at all yet. But leaving an inheritance for your children's children is leaving both wisdom, that makes sense, and also leaving assets. A friend of mine is buying a building for each one of his grandchildren. So that'll be available to them when they grow up. He can leave one to each one of them as an income producing asset for them. Pretty cool. So those are the seven spheres of wealth. Okay, go back through them real quick. Spiritual wealth, write them down. Soul wealth, building up your mind, will, and emotions, your ability to think, make decisions, choose. Your physical wealth, your physical health, 3 John 2. Relationships, are you in enough and diversified, healthy relationships? And then being a person of influence, in your community specifically, and then creating multi-generational wealth that you can pass on. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with you today. And we're going to get back to working on your plan next week. And I just really pray you'll take this serious, that you'll spend some time, let me go back to this first slide, that you'll spend some time thinking about these goals and writing them down. And really beginning to think about, what do you want your life to be about? What experiences do you want to have? Writing them down, figuring out how much they're going to cost, and then figuring out your strategy for getting you there. And that'll help you figure out how long it's going to take. If you need help on any of these things, you see my number on there. Leave me a message. I'll get back to you, or one of my teammates will, and we'll help you put together those strategies. Okay. So you guys have a great 4th of July, and we'll see you down the road. Okay. Financial Freedom Fridays. Gus Tucker on blackdoctor.org. Check out our broadcast from the past, and go to our site and take the How Money Works challenge. Okay, guys, take care. Bye bye.